Okay, I turn the recorder on. So we are convened here today, August 11th, 2021, for a hearing in the matter of Kelly Vider versus Marcus Theaters, and this is ERD case number CR 2018-03455, EEOC case number 26G 2019-00415C. And this hearing is taking place using the WebEx video conferencing software, and I am recording this hearing. And first, I'll have the parties state their appearances for the record. First of all, just a minute. The recording. Okay, never mind. It was covering up your face on my screen at the recording box, but now I got everybody. All right, so first of all, I'd like the parties to state their appearances. So Ms. Vider, first of all, I just want you to state for the record, you're here today and you're on your own. You're not represented by an attorney, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, and for the respondent?
John Murray, representing the respondent as counsel. I'm also the corporate vice president of human resources. With me is Stacy Babel, who is the vice president of human resources for the theater division.
Okay. And as we noted before we went on the record, Ms. Babel's name is spelled S-T-A-C-Y and Babel, B-A-B-L. I will, before we get into the testimony, I'm going to provide a procedural introduction to this case. Okay. First of all, this case involves a complaint that was filed with the Equal Rights Division on January 14th, 2019. And in this complaint, the complainant, Kelly Vider, alleged that the Marcus Theaters discriminated against her in violation of the Wisconsin Fair Employment Act. Specifically, she alleged discrimination on the basis of disability, also on the basis of sex and race, with regard to both a failure to accommodate, that's with regard to the disability claim, but also with regard to termination, and that claim involves allegations both or with regard to disability and race and sex. The Equal Rights Division investigated this complaint, and on June 25th, 2019, an investigator issued an initial determination finding no probable cause to believe that discrimination had occurred in this case with regard, and that's with regard to all of the allegations. So no probable cause was found on all of the claims. The complainant appealed that determination, and then this case was certified to a hearing on the issue of probable cause. And because it's a probable cause hearing and not what we call a hearing on the merits, we do not need to get into any testimony regarding damages, back pay, any efforts to find other employment, all the kinds of things that we would need to do at a hearing on the merits. But there won't be a hearing on the merits unless and until the complainant establishes probable cause in this case. And if she does, then this case would be certified to a hearing on the merits and a different judge would be assigned to hold that hearing. But that's down the road, but I'm just mentioning that just so it's clear for the record that this is a probable cause hearing. Another important difference between a probable cause hearing and a hearing on the merits is that the burden of proof here in this kind of case is lower than it would be at a hearing on the merits. So Ms. Vider's burden is to show that discrimination probably occurred with regard to all of her claims, as opposed to showing that, proving that they occurred by a preponderance of the evidence, which would be the standard at a hearing on the merits. Okay, so I think, well, I'll just mention that prior to the hearing, the respondent did submit a packet of documents with documents to be used as exhibits at today's hearing. I did not receive any exhibits from the complainant. And I guess that's all I really need to say at this point. Is there anything that either side wants to say? I guess not. Okay, then we will move into the complainant's case, and the complainant, Ms. Vider, is going to be her only witness today. And just one moment. Ms. Vider, if we were in person rather than on a video conference, I would have you stand up and raise your right hand. But because it's a video conference, I'll just have you can remain seated, but I would ask you to raise your right hand so I can swear you in. Thank you. Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Okay, thank you. Okay. First of all, just because you've alleged disability discrimination, race discrimination, and sex discrimination, I will just right off the bat get the basic information in that we need for that. First of all, if you could state your race for the record.
Can you repeat that? I didn't get you. I'm sorry.
Okay. If you've alleged disability discrimination, race discrimination, and sex discrimination. So just at the very beginning, I just want to ask you to state the basics so that I have in the record what your race, your sex, and your alleged disabilities are. So if you could state for the record your race.
Right.
Okay, and your sex.
Female.
Female. And what are your alleged disabilities?
I have a disability that standing for long periods of time and lifting 10 pounds that I was restricted. I gave that to Adam.
Okay, no, I don't want to get into the details at all at this point about that. I just want to know what conditions are you alleging are disabilities? I see in your complaint you've listed a back issues and knee issues.
Yes, that's correct.
And diabetes?
Yes.
Okay, so those are the three conditions that you've alleged are disabilities for purposes of this case. Okay, now I want to just start getting into kind of the basic chronology of your employment with Marcus Theaters. First of all, I'm sorry, did you say, I'm getting this weird feedback. I don't know if you can, it's kind of an echo effect. Well, hopefully it'll go away. Can you all see a symbol on your screen showing that it is recording? Recording is in progress. Okay, yeah, I see that on my screen. Okay. All right. So when were you hired by Marcus Theaters?
Back in June
June
of 2018.
Of 2018?
Yes.
Okay. This is being recorded, both the video and the audio, and so it is important to be able to get all of your words in. If a transcript is ever made of this hearing or just on appeal, people are going to listen to the record. So if you could try to speak up a little bit, that would be helpful. All right, so you were hired in June of 2019. And what job were you hired into?
First of all, I was one of those people that's to clean the theater, and they switched the position to full time.
Okay, let me go back. You were hired, the respondent in this case is Marcus Theaters. And as you understand it, they own a number of theaters, correct? Movie theaters? Yes?
Yes.
Yes, okay. And were you hired to work at one of the theaters?
Yes, so the one at Southridge Mall.
Southridge Mall. And is there a name for that theater?
Bistroplex.
Bistroplex, is that the correct name? I think we can get a stipulation on that. Is that Bistroplex? Is that correct?
Yes, that sounds correct.
Okay, so this is a movie theater. at the Southridge Mall in Milwaukee, right?
Yes.
Okay. And is this one of those theaters with multiple screens?
Yes, that's correct.
Do you remember how many screens? Not that it.
We had six
screens. Okay. Okay. And you were hired to be what was the position you were hired for?
When I first started there, I was one of those people just to clean the theater for about a month or two. Then they switched the position to become a food runner because they needed more people back there.
Okay. So you were hired at first to be a cleaner at the theater?
Yes.
Oh, I see. So you mean things like mop the floors or wipe the counters, or I mean,
Like wipe the counters, take the garbage out and make sure it's clean. And then we have to have the manager inspect that and make sure it's clean before we can leave the theater to clean the next theater.
You would actually go in. Oh, I see. You would clean the each of the 6 theaters, the 6 screens. You would, after a movie, you would go in and clean out everything, all the popcorn boxes and everything else, and that sort of thing.
Yes, that's correct. Yes.
And also, was there a lobby as well, where you were?
Yes.
And did you clean that as well?
Yes, if they needed us up in front to clean out the popcorn mess that every Tuesday they always have like popcorn in front. It would be a mess, but we clean it if we needed to, if we were needed.
Okay. So you were hired at first as a cleaner, and then you said what? I'm sorry, did you say a month later or something? What did you say?
A month or two later, they asked us to become food runner because they needed more people in the back versus cleaning the theater.
So you were asked to become a what?
A food runner.
A food runner?
Yes, that's correct.
And could you tell me at this point anyway, in very general terms, what a food runner does at that theater?
The description is that we go back there. They would give us like a ticket, and we would take the food to the people with the right ticket. Like say some people order soda, we'll give them a soda. Or some people would order Pacific food, we'll just run the food to their table.
Okay, so this is one of those theaters where there is food service inside the actual theater. So people will be watching a movie and then they have like a table in front of them where they can have a soda or they can eat food that they order off the menu?
Yes, that's correct, yes.
Okay. And it's besides just soda, I mean, is it things like hamburgers and sandwiches or just?
Yep, hamburger, sandwich, pizza, breakfast, all types of stuff they had.
Okay. So you would, in your job as a food runner, you would carry trays with the people's food orders on the tray, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And then at the end, or after the movie was over, you would clear away all the food, the leftovers, the soda, just all the containers and so forth, plates, utensils.
If we weren't busy, no, but if we like say if we're not busy, they would ask us to help them because then they have a separate category where they have people who would clean the theater. But if they asked us to clean the theater, I would join them. But if we weren't busy, but I would mainly run food for that at that time.
Okay, so you carry your main responsibility as a food runner was to carry trays of food and drinks to the customers sitting in the theaters.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so okay, and by the way, and this may have changed over time, I don't know, but at least when you started doing the food runner job, how many hours a week did you work?
That can be varies. I could work up to 25 hours. The most I did up to 30, but the most I'll say 25. So I work 3 days out of the week.
Was it always the same 3 days?
Yes. Unless they asked us for us to come in as a standby, to say someone called in sick, me and my sister will come over there if they need extra people.
You know, before I forget, we might as well get that part in right now. You made reference to your sister. And your sister, let me just get the sheet with the information about her case. Okay, your sister's name is Holly Koch, right? K-O-C-H?
Yes. Yep.
And she also worked at the Marcus Theater, at the Bistroplex Theater where you worked, correct?
Yes.
And was she hired around the same time as you?
Yes.
Okay. And I note for the record that your sister also filed a discrimination complaint against Marcus Theaters with the Equal Rights Division. And her case, it's just one digit off of yours. It's ERD case number CR 2018-03456. And her hearing is actually scheduled for tomorrow. And so unless you tell me otherwise, when you refer to your sister, or if I refer to your sister when I ask you a question, or Attorney Murray does, then we're referring to your sister Holly Koch with regard to her working there as well. Okay. All right. So you worked, generally speaking, 3 days a week, and then how many hours per shift was it? Generally.
I'll say maybe up to 5 to 6 hours. Sometimes we even stay longer if they needed us.
Okay, and how many, well, was there a certain shift, like you'd come in at a certain 5 p.m. and you'd work until, 9 or 10, whatever, I mean, or did it vary from day to day?
I would usually work from 5 until 11.
So
was
5 p.m. to 11 p.m., I see. Okay, that was generally, but sometimes you'd be sent home early if it was slow, or is that right?
Yes, that's correct. Yes.
Okay. And I don't know if this matters, but what were the 3 days you were generally working?
Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. Sometimes Friday, but those are the mainly days.
Sometimes Friday. Okay. All right. And how much were you paid an hour as a food runner?
It started when I first started, $7.25, and I had to wait for about a year just to get my salary raise.
And it went up to what then?
$8.
I see. So at the time of your termination, when your employment ended, you were earning $8 an hour?
Yes, it was like it started in actually August. The new the new pay rate.
August of what year?
It was August of 2018. You kind of asked me that question. It was June of 2017. That's when the theater first opened. I made a mistake because
yeah, right. So that's important to correct that. So
yeah.
you told me at the beginning, my notes show that you were hired June of 2018, but actually you were hired June of 2017. Is that correct?
Yeah, yes, we were let go in December of 2018.
Your employment ended when? I will be getting to that later, but
okay, sorry. December 11th, 2018.
Oh, okay. So you did, I can see, I mean, looking at those dates now, so you did work for more than a year. And you're saying that in about August of 2018 is when your pay went up?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Which was a bit more than a year after you started there. Okay. So, let me see here. So I I have a copy in front of me of your complaint that you filed with the Equal Rights Division. And, I'm not your attorney. I'm, the neutral judge here, but just in order, but to have a basis for asking you some questions about your case, I'm going to be asking you about some of the allegations in your complaint and have you, explain what happened to provide some more detail. So why don't you tell me, in your complaint, you allege that you provided the theater with, you know what, before we get into that, let me ask you some other questions. When you worked there, who was your supervisor?
It was Adam and Emily.
Okay. Now, in the on the respondents witness list, I don't think there's any dispute about this. They list Adam Levetso. Is that who you're talking about? Mr. Murray, you don't dispute that. He was one of the supervisors, and you, in fact,
That's
may be
correct.
calling him as a witness. Okay.
He was the GM of the theater, yes.
The general manager. Okay.
Yes.
And so I'll just, for the record, I'll spell the name Levetzow. And Emily, I see also there's an Emily Peterson on the witness list here also. So, and it looks like Emily's last name is spelled Tedersen.
Yes,
what was
she was the operations manager at the theater for a portion of the time that Ms. Vider was employed there.
Okay. So Adam and Emily, as you said, were your two supervisors?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So was there a time when you gave, according to your complaint, you said that you gave some paperwork to the I assume to your supervisors, is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
And what kind of paperwork did you give them with regard to your medical conditions?
About the restriction of how much I can lift.
And so you didn't submit any documents in advance of this hearing, so we don't have those documents to look at, but I guess if you can just tell me basically, from your recollection, they indicated that you, what did they say with regard to what did these documents say? They were from from one of your doctors?
Yes, from Dr. Cohen. It says that
Dr.
I cannot.
Cohen, Cohen?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Saying that, what did they say?
It says I cannot no longer lift no more than 10 pounds of the weight restriction.
So did it say what your condition was? Why you could not lift more than 10 pounds?
Because I have a back condition.
I know, but did the statement say that? The doctor stated?
Yes, the doctor did, yes.
No, in the statement it said because of a back condition.
What do you refer by that? I'm sorry.
Okay, in the actual doctor's statement that you handed to your supervisor. And was this to Adam or Emily, by the way?
It was to either, if I see Adam or Emily, I would give it to my supervisor so that.
So one or the other. You don't
Yes.
remember who. Is that right? Okay.
I would recommend Adam. He's the one who took that slip.
You gave it to Adam. Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, it said you couldn't lift 10 pounds. Your doctor said you weren't supposed to lift more than 10 pounds. Did it say in the document why you could not lift more than 10 pounds? In other words, did it say because you have a back condition or because you have a whatever condition? Did it specify?
Yes, it did. Yes, it did about the back.
What did it say? It just said because of a back condition, or did it explain?
It's because of the dislocated hernia disc. Because every time if I lift something, it's too heavy, my back will give out, or it was too much for me to handle.
Okay, this is you Right now, you're telling me that that's your own description of your condition, correct?
Yes.
It didn't necessarily, I would assume that this doctor's statement didn't say all that, though. It didn't
I
say
do
you have it said you had a dislocated herniated disc, or
all it says is no more lifting than 10 pounds.
okay, so that's all it said. Okay.
Yeah.
Any other statement that you provided from a
This,
doctor?
what?
I'm sorry. Oh, go
Oh,
ahead. Go
yeah,
ahead.
with the statement, I did provide it every time that I work, even.
Okay, this is the second part of the recording for the hearing in Kelly Vider versus Marcus Theaters ERD case number 2018-03-455. Today's August 11th, 2021. So now we're going to pick up where we left off, and we are actually just starting the respondent's case, and the respondent is going to call its first witness, and I think actually she'll be the only witness, as I understand it. Just one moment here. Oh, here it is. Okay. All right. So you're going to be calling Ms. Babel now, correct?
That's right.
All right. So just one moment. So Ms. Babel, again, just as with Ms. Vider, I'm not going to ask you to stand up, but if you could please raise your right hand so I can swear you in. Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay, thank you. And if you could please state your name for the record and spell it again.
Sure. Stacy Bobbles, Stacy, and then
Oh, it's a Y. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
then
last name.
Dabl.
Okay.
And I think I've been saying it wrong, Ms. Bobble. It's Bobble, correct?
Bobble, yep.
Oh, it is bobble,
Yeah.
like a bobblehead.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's okay. Everyone says it
Yeah,
wrong.
I was saying babble as well. I'm sorry. Okay, so the direct exam, you may begin that, Mr. Murray.
Thank you. Ms. Bobble, where do you work?
The Marcus Corporation.
What is your position?
I am the Vice President of Human Resources for our Theaters Division.
And what is the relationship between the Marcus Corporation and its theaters division?
The Theaters Division is a subsidiary of the corporation.
Now, you want to focus on the theater division here. What is its business?
We own and operate theaters across the United States. We have about 88 locations in 17 different states.
How long have you been in your current position, Vice President of HR for the theater division?
Since May of this year.
How long have you worked for the Marcus Corporation?
Since June of 2018.
So what were you before you moved into your current position?
I was a Director of Human Resources.
Also in the theater division?
Correct.
Generally, can you describe your job responsibilities in that director position?
Certainly. So I handled primarily employee relations. So I worked closely with the managers in the field on any sort of issues that they had with their associates.
Were you directly responsible for all 88 of Marcus Theaters?
No, we had them split into thirds, myself and two of my HR business partners.
What about the Bistroplex in the Southridge Mall? Was that one for which you had responsibility?
It was.
So you generally described employee relations. I want to drill down a little more deeply in that. As a director, did you participate in workplace investigations?
I did.
Can you describe your typical role in a workplace investigation for one of the theaters?
Sure. So depending on the type of investigation. Some that were at a higher level, I would get involved and do the actual interviews, employee interviews, and then work with the GM on making recommendations for next steps from an employment status standpoint.
Okay. Similar question with discharge decisions. Did you have any role in discharge decisions at the theaters where you held direct responsibility?
I did. I would make recommendations to the managers based on investigations.
Okay. Now, Ms. Bauble, you have a copy of all of the exhibits already printed out, so we don't need to use the screen for those, correct?
I do.
Okay. I'd like you to turn to Respondent's Exhibit 4, which starts on.
The only problem is